Hey guys, Braden Zero. If you haven't checked out the other video, I'll link it in the description below, but we kind of went into an overview of exactly where the state of crafting is. And in the process of making that video, I was able to make some really good spreadsheets on exactly how much time is going to be invested for you to be able to max out to level 200, a particular skill. So I wanted to go ahead and do another separate video that kind of breaks into each individual one. If you're looking to get numbers, then just stay for the full video. I'll show the breakdown of why it's going to take so long. But if you're looking for the simple version and then you can just click away and go to something else, it's going to take you about 20 hours per skill, at least. And that's just for one, and that's on a minimum side. Many of them are going to take 30 plus hours to be able to go from 0 to 200. Now, if you're just a normal player, you're jumping in, you're playing every once in a while, you're okay with maybe buying gear off the store, or you just want to craft the occasional item for yourself, this is not really going to apply to you very much. But if you're a hardcore, you're going to go all in on New World when it comes out. This is going to be really important for you. I'm going to give you the same recommendation I gave in the last video, and that is find a good faction. Crafting is not going to be a solo endeavor. It's gonna be a group. If you plan on getting to legendary in-game gear, that's just how it's gonna be. But let's go ahead and jump on over and take a look at some numbers if that's what you're into. All right, guys, we're gonna keep it real quick and simple. I just want to kind of show you a little bit here in the beginning, just to be able to show my numbers, at least a little bit. But if we come in here to the New World database, what you're gonna find is you can look at these mature trees. I would say normally a large wouldn't be too difficult to find. You're getting that for about 166 experience, and it's going to take you about half a minute to do it. So we went a little bit lower on those, but that's where about the numbers you wanted there. If you're going to check any of my numbers, you can definitely come to this database to be able to do so. If we turn it down to 0 here and we want to try to come in and see a medium boulder, you're looking at about 79. And I went ahead and used that along with our iron in order to see. So if we're coming in here and we're looking for the, let's see if we can find it, iron vein medium, then you're going to get about 158, but it's going to take you a lot longer. So we kind of equal these out in order to come up with a rough median number for those. But having said that, skinning by far would be the easiest. Now, of course, this number does not consider the fact that you have to go hunt them first. But right out the gate, 5 hours invested to hit 200, purely because it only takes 194,000 to get there. You can get about 130 experience for farming some of the lower animals in the bottom section. I've seen some people be able to get up to 700 experience a minute off of doing this. That's purely from skinning. So you might have to add another minute or so in order to kill. But even at the most, I would imagine it shouldn't take you any more than double that. So you're looking 5 to 10 hours and you can already max out your skinning skill. Harvesting is next. This is going to get you about 45 experience for one of your standard nodes. I know that can fluctuate, but if you're able to do it pretty quick, 10 to 15 seconds each, you should be able to do maybe about 4 of them. So you might actually be in the lower sections. We might want to just go ahead and say 200 instead, which might change the formula just a little bit. But if you're able to get about 200 per minute, you're looking at 2,327 minutes. And if we go ahead and take that 2327 divided by 60, looking maybe in the 38-hour range, again, probably closer to 30, purely because I know that the experience gain can go up if you get some of the hires, but they do keep it pretty standard. If it takes you longer to do it, you do get more experience, but it does translate really well as far as it goes for early game harvesting to late game harvesting. Logging will give you about 120 experience per tree. That's on average. Some of the smaller ones will give you lower. Some of the bigger ones will give you higher. You should be able to do a few of those per minute. Should be in about the 500 experience range per minute. Takes you 976,000 experience to go to 200, which if we take that number divided by the 500, you get 1,952 minutes, which equates to about 33 hours. Fishing is a little difficult to be able to calculate purely because it very fluctuates on where you're at and the pace in which you get fish. but in the database, they do have a rough estimate of each of the fishing zones, what you should be catching fish at: 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, even for some. So we'll say you get about 100 per fish, and it's going to take you about a minute. That's being very generous. That means you'll have to catch 4,520 fish, and that equates to about 75 hours worth of work. You can probably cut that in half. If you're really efficient, you're able to catch 2 fish a minute, but probably not. I would say that's a safe one. Fishing is going to be something that's going to be late game. People are going to be doing it along the way, and it's going to be something that if somebody's maxed out 200, you know they put the work in. Last one of the gathering is going to be your mining. This one is going to be split between iron and stone, so both your smelting and your stone work in the future is going to be involved in this. So it's one of those ones that if you plan on maxing out smelting or stone work, you probably should go ahead and pick exactly which one you want and start concentrating on those, unless you just want to do both, in which place don't even worry about maxing out mining. It's going to happen as you do stoneworking and smelting very easily, I would say. But all in all, you should get somewhere between the 120 on average if you're collecting both. If you're only collecting stone, then lower this number and increase the amount of hours. If you're only collecting iron, then you might be able to increase, but honestly, it might just equal out. Having said that, it's going to take you about 3,600 nodes on average to hit the 435,000. If you're able to do 20 seconds a node, which again is more for iron, and it can decrease if you're going to do stone, you're doing about 2 a minute, so 250 experience a minute. That'll take you about 1,741 minutes, which equates to about 29 hours. Not too shabby. Jumping into leatherworking, which is the first of our refining stuff, we kind of made some assumptions here in order to kind of broaden out the lower 2 sections. It's pretty good calculation on the first. This will take you to level 100. You're getting 36 per coarse leather. You were fine. You are able to farm. I saw somebody getting, I believe, about 300 of rawhide per 10 minutes of farming, doing a certain animal farming that they were doing. So if we base it off of a 10-minute farming session of 300 rawhide per, you will need to do that 61, almost 62 times in order to get the 18,000 raw material that you need. And that will take you a little over 10 hours to do that. Once you get into these higher levels, you can use that leather. That's the coarse leather. There is one tier between these that you'll have to make as well, but you can use them to make the leather. That is the higher tier. And as you make these lower tiers to make the higher tiers, it should equal out. At least that's kind of what I'm doing to keep the math easy. Should be around the 31-hour mark. Weaving is almost identical to leatherworking, and same with woodworking as well. The actual material gain is about the same for 36, and then it increases at the same rate for the other 2 tiers. So we're going to say it's about the same for leather as it is for weaving and woodworking. Smelting, it gets a little bit complicated. If you watched the other video, you kind of saw the fact that you're going to take iron all the way up to orichalcum, which means you will be mining iron ore all the way through this progression. But if you stick with it and you follow my progress here, what you're going to do is take the iron ingots that you get and carry them all the way through. So the 390 iron that you get will be used to make the 670. As you can see here, you'll need 2,040 iron ingots for the 670 steel ingots. So remove the 390 you already have, and you have to get 1,650. So it's going to take about 4.2 times. So about 5 hours. At the end of a 6-hour farming session, you should have enough to be able to be at smelting level 100. And you would end with about 670 steel ingots that you could turn around and sell or do whatever you might want with those. If you continue further, you'll need 583 of the star metal, which means you'll need 1166 of the steel. You already have 670, so you just got to farm for a little bit more, and that's going to take you about another 3.5 hours, in addition to the about 3 hours that it'll take for you to farm out the 3,499 star metal ore that is needed to do that as well. Again, that's basing it on the rate of being able to get 650 for a 30-minute rotation, which apparently is pretty good. I saw a few videos where people were bragging about being able to get that kind of a rate. So this may actually go up much higher. if you're not as efficient, but if you're efficient, should be good. And then you can already see the lower section. You're going to need 978 of them. This is a little bit high. You probably are going to need closer to about 700 once you refine the lower sections in order to get here. So take this and probably knock off of at least 3 or 4 hours from here, and you're going to come out with about the 27 hours total for the whole process of smelting, which will get you to 200. At that point, you'll be in a really good position to be able to sell your services to any faction, because they're going to need you in order to get their legendary gear that they want. So sell yourself out. Stone cutting is exactly the same as smelting. You will start with the cut stone and you will refine that all the way up to the upper sections. Rinse and repeat for what we just said. I will not be getting into armoring and the arcana and other sections like that. Furnishing is going to be a nightmare. I'll have to figure out those later on. I'll have another video for those, but for now, we'll go ahead and just stick with the gathering and refining skills and the progress that's needed for that. If you want to know kind of a little bit more about the armoring, you can check out the other video. Other than that, guys, I know that's a lot of numbers. If you stuck with it, awesome. Props to you. Good luck out there with the farming and gathering. It's going to be a nightmare, but if you're into these kind of games, then I know you're already ready for it. I just hope that it doesn't push a lot of people away from it. We'll see. Thanks a lot, guys. Y'all have a good one.